Yes, guys, what's going on? Sham here from Be Real TV, and today we are joined by Shafina Shah. She is also known as Miss Pakistan World. She's travelled quite a distance to come here today to be with me. So thank you very much, Shafina. Assalamu alaikum. How are you doing?
Walaikum assalam, Sham. Thank you so much for having me here, and I'm doing very well. Thank you.
How's the car doing, Shafina? Because I heard you had some trouble on the way here.
You did.
Hmm.
Where did this information come from? I think I have a slow puncture,
Okay.
but alhamdulillah, because I'd filled it up a couple of days ago,
Mm-hmm.
and then it went down again today. So, but alhamdulillah, read my Ayatul Kursi, got here okay, and I'll take it to the garage like maybe on Monday when I have time.
Okay, good.
But
Okay,
how are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. Just extremely occupied, very busy every single day, morning to night, working, working, working. But that's a blessing in itself, so I'm all right.
Alhamdulillah.
So, Miss Pakistan World. What is that title? Explain to me how it works and how did you come about that?
Okay, so I'll explain how I came about it.
Okay.
So I have a friend, and he was actually Mr. Pakistan.
Hmm.
He was Mr. Pakistan, and he became Mr. Universe as well last year. I've been doing some modeling and acting, well, modeling music videos and like shoots with him. And one day, well, actually, do you believe in manifestation and thoughts become things?
I believe that you can think things into existence within yourself, but I don't believe that there's any external force. But I believe in positive affirmations are very important in life.
Okay, so a lot of things that I've been thinking about this year have been happening, or
Hmm.
praying for, asking for, thinking about. So anyway, what happened was one day I was thinking, you know what, I really want to do a pageant. Two
Yeah.
days later, the Mr. Pakistan, my friend, he called me and said, Shafina, why don't you apply for Ms. Pakistan?
Okay.
So I was like, there's a Ms. Pakistan? For real? You know, because I assumed that it wasn't allowed for Pakistani girls, or they just wouldn't be open minded to having women do pageants. So he goes, yes, there is, and just apply online. So I did. There was a bit of difficulty at the time with the application. I think, I don't know, sometimes you just have the weirdest signals going on. But eventually did my application. Had to answer some questions. There were some sort of requirements. There's different categories actually.
Hmm.
So there's a Miss Pakistan, there's a Ms. Pakistan, there's Mrs. Pakistan.
Hmm.
There's also a Miss Trans Pakistan.
Okay, interesting.
So yeah, so there were different titles. So I went to the one that fitted my category, and I had to answer some questions. And actually, I had just come back from Pakistan not long ago.
Hmm.
So, and at that point, when I went to Pakistan, it was in the February earlier this year. Came back in the March, and I was crying. My mother was asking me, "What's wrong with you?" And I said, "I miss Pakistan a lot." So I had fell in love with Pakistan. So the point of that story was when I went to apply for Ms. Pakistan, they asked me like, "What would?" They asked you questions. They asked me, "What would you do if you had the title of Miss Pakistan, or why should you have it?" And so the answer I gave was quite passionate, and how I felt, and how, you know, beautiful I felt the country was, the people was, and just gave an answer from my heart. There's no sort of right or wrong answer. I just answered however it did, which was a good thing because obviously I'm here sitting here right now.
Hmm.
So I had to do that. There were also like a telephone interview,
Hmm.
so you have to do like answer questions. I guess they see how you speak. It's based on appearance, also how you present yourself. There was also a photo shoot requirement as well.
Yeah.
So I also do modeling and acting work, but pageant life is very different to modeling work. So if you do a model photo shoot, it's very different to a pageant shoot. So I had to do a pageant photo shoot and arrange that here in the UK. And there was like certain requirements for that, and I guess they send them off. So a lot of it was done actually virtually, or, you know, because I was based here, or I'm based here, and they send it off. I don't know, whoever judges and things like that. So
Hmm.
that's kind of how that came about.
So, okay, forgive me for my naivety first of all, because I'm
Sure,
probably going to ask some really stupid questions. 'Cause I know absolutely nothing about pageants.
that's fine.
I actually have done a podcast with somebody who owns a beauty pageant in Las Vegas.
Okay.
So yeah, if he's probably watching this, I might make myself sound really silly with the questions I'm about to ask. But is it just solely based on beauty, or I imagine there are other criteria you have to fit, right?
Yeah, so it's not just beauty on the outside, it's also within inside. That's why I mentioned, like, with the answer to the question that I gave, was passionate about Pakistan and what I wanted to do and things I wanted to achieve, based on sort of charity work. What are you going to sort of, I guess, bring to the table, or what are your intentions are?
Mm.
So that's very important. How you speak is important as well. So they need someone that can represent Pakistan. The whole point of this is to be able to represent Pakistan in other sort of pageants.
Okay.
and bring another, and hopefully the whole point is to bring titles and crowns back to Pakistan. Does that make sense?
It
So,
does make sense. It
yeah.
makes absolute sense. So, what's it been like since you've become Miss Pakistan? How has it changed your life?
Uh, it's kind of interesting because I just see myself as a normal person, but I'm starting to realize actually there's a lot of sort of responsibility that comes with it. There are probably certain things that I would have been like before, but I'm not so much like now, or I would spend my time differently now and thinking, okay, I need to now prepare what's my next mission. I was just speaking to someone today about how like I've got another pageant to prepare for,
Yeah.
which is meant to be in Barcelona, and I'll need to prepare for that. And I've started a different routine at the gym because there's going to be different rounds. Obviously, this pageant in Pakistan didn't have a swimwear round, which is actually not as common as it was before. They're starting to eliminate this round,
Yeah.
but it may be in the other pageants I may go into. So I've had to like drop weight and make changes and adjustments because yes, okay, there's beauty on the inside, but also they do judge on your appearance as well. It's just part of how the beauty pageant world is. So that's changing my life a little bit.
Shafina, can I ask a somewhat personal question, which you should never ask a woman, but I'm curious just based, there's a reason I'm asking it.
Oh no, is this the...
How old are you?
You know what? I'm not going to answer that question.
Okay, that's perfectly
Okay.
fine. Is that is that public knowledge? Do you have to give it or?
So the pageant lady that I applied with, so her
Mm.
name's Sonia Ahmed.
Mm.
She owns the Miss Pageant Pakistan. So she knows.
Okay, so the reason I'm asking this
See.
is within the beauty sphere of of women, there is a hypothetical graph which people create.
Okay.
Okay, which I don't necessarily agree with it. Okay, everybody ages and matures, and everyone's got their own what they think is beauty is a very subjective thing. Do you think that women peak at a certain age generally and then deteriorate? Do you believe with that general concept of what a lot of people put forth?
I believe, that's a good question, but I believe I've seen people of different ages, okay? And I've seen people my age, younger than me, older than me. And depending on what their lifestyle is, they'll look very different. Okay, so there are people that are younger than me that have less energy than me and are not as in shape. So it's not necessarily an age thing. I feel like it depends on how you look after yourself, your lifestyle. My degree is actually nutrition, health, and lifestyles. So I come from a health background. And I feel like it's very important to look after your health. And I also have sort of role models like Jennifer Lopez. Okay, like I'll say like she's looked after herself and maintained herself very well. So I don't feel like it's based on age. It's definitely based on lifestyle. But as I mentioned, with regards to Miss Pakistan, there are different sort of criterias. And there's a Miss Pakistan and the Miss Pakistan. So I will give you this. The Miss Pakistan is up to age 29.
Okay.
And the Miss Pakistan is from age 30.
Interesting. Okay.
Yep.
I agree with you. I did a podcast with a lovely woman called Gia McCool. She's based in the US, and she's I'm not going to guess her age, but she's not in her 20s.
Okay.
But she looks absolutely radiating, and she's been in she used to be in bodybuilding before and in sort of fitness, and now she not the big bodybuilding, it was more of a lean sort of bodybuilding many years ago in the 90s, and she's carried that forward and she looks absolutely radiating, and that was in the 90s, which was over 20 plus years ago. And she still looks very lovely. So I agree with you. I think that lifestyle and nutrition play a major role into women as much as I'm not going to say as much as men, because men have a little hack that they can do. Men can do TRT, testosterone replacement therapy, which I think gives men a massive edge in their 40s and 50s. I've seen men in their 40s and 50s who look better than they did in their 20s, even though they were training because of the testosterone. I asked Gia this question, because your background is nutrition, I'm curious as well. The hormone side and supplementation, is there things you can take as a woman starts to age to help her, not just the normal supplements in terms of hormones or anything like that you can take?
There are products that I recommend, actually. It's part of the work that I do, and I've been taking them myself for many years.
So talk to me about that. I'm interested.
So I take these natural fruit and vegetable capsules, which I've been taking for a long time.
Okay.
I'll go into that later. But yeah, nutrition does play a huge role. I also believe that in Islam, we're told that there's cures and everything for many things here.
Yeah.
So if I'm taking natural fruit and vegetables filled with antioxidants, phytonutrients, polyphenols, which actually help the cells repair itself. So if you're building all sort of, it's a bit of a different side, but you're building all these free radicals from the stress, from the smoking, from just radiation, sun damage and everything like that. If you put the right nutrition to your body, you can sort of cancel out the damage that's being done. Therefore, I feel like that helps with anti-aging. Like, again, it goes back to lifestyle. So there are things that I take, yes, and I recommend them to everyone to take, because truly in our lifestyle, we very much struggle to eat healthy every day, continuously or consistently, which is the key, by the way. Consistency is the key with everything in life. And what you do on a daily habit will have an effect on, you know, how you are as a person. It's okay to eat the salad one day, but are we going to eat it 7 days in a week? Probably not. So yeah, I take things to help me with the lifestyle that we have today in today's society. That way I can keep up with my health, keep up with my nutrition and energy and my immune system and things like that. So alongside, I think everyone should take vitamin D. That's one thing that I will say to everybody. If you're not taking it, definitely take that as well.
What's your diet like? What do you eat? Are you a meat eater? Do you eat? What's your diet like?
So I eat meat, but I don't eat meat every day.
Okay.
Okay. And I've been like this for many years. And I feel like this is also the way of the Prophet. I feel like our culture's got a bit confused where they eat meat every day, every time, every meal. I'm actually half Pathan. So one time my nanny, she was here in the UK and there was dal and chawal like at home. So she's like, "Where's the meat?" And I said, "Oh, we have dal and rice." She's like, but where's the meat? And she was like freaking out that it was no meat. And I was like, what's the big deal? Because for me, dal chawal is fine as a meal. But, you know, in our culture, it sometimes, it's not a complete meal without it. And for me, no, I don't have meat every day. That's one of the things. I will drink plenty of water. I drink about 3-4 liters of water a day.
Yeah.
That's normal for me. I try and avoid sugar, but I'm human. So there are times when I will have some sugar.
Yeah.
But really, I would advise try and avoid it.
It's interesting because I think also back to the male-female dynamic. I think men are very different. I think for men, meat is actually more important, particularly if you're doing weight training and you want to keep your body in shape, because you need the adequate amount of full amino acids and complete proteins, which is very difficult to get without that sufficient meat. But also as our human tract, if you look at it, it doesn't mimic a carnivore or an omnivore. It's like somewhere in the middle. So greens also play a role in that. But it's very interesting because you'll understand more than me about nutrition. Is it different for men and women, the nutritional side?
I think that, again, that depends on their culture, because I've dealt with people that don't eat meat, that are men, and they train. Some of them are, you know, bodybuilding as well.
Yeah.
So it really depends on your diet, depends how dedicated you are. And I feel like the industry, especially the meat industry, if you go back into it, really emphasized on how meat needs to be there. But if you go back and look at all the gladiators and at that time, they were looking at the bone structures and they were saying they actually didn't really eat meat.
Okay.
That's another topic altogether.
This is going into Game Changers topic Netflix, right? This is.
But what I'm saying is, like, it really just depends on your lifestyle. You can get a lot of things through a plant diet. I'm not saying I only eat plants, like I mentioned. I have a balance of it, but I don't eat meat every day because I don't feel like I need it. And there's so many other things out there that I can eat.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so Shafina, your accent, it's not like my accent. It's a bit.
Oh.
It's got that slightly, you know, your American accent in there. Like I can hear it a little bit.
I can totally talk like that, but I totally try and turn it down on purpose.
I've butchered it. I'm sorry.
No, it's cool.
So tell me, tell me about your background when you were growing up. Where have you grown up? Where have you been?
Okay. Right. Where do I start? Okay. So everyone's been asking this question. I even get DMs and everyone's curious. So like, how you're Miss Pakistan, but how do you sound the way you sound and you're living in the UK? So guys that are listening, I was actually born in London. Okay. I was born in Hackney.
Okay.
Out of all places. From there, we moved to Osterley. No, prior to that, I moved to Walthamstow.
Oh, Walthamstow.
Yeah, which is like up the road, right?
Yeah, I've spent time in Walthamstow.
Okay. I was a child when this was happening, by the way. I had no control. This was my parents doing. From there, we moved to Osterley.
Okay.
Which is West London.
Right.
Vahase, we moved to California. That's where that came from.
So...
I have family there.
So how old were you when you moved to California?
10 years old.
Okay. Do you remember your childhood in the UK?
Parts of it. I remember studying like about Henry VIII. I was like
very young.
Yeah.
So what was it like moving to California?
You know, I left everyone here because I had a plan that I was going to go to this particular school in the UK, and then I left, and then I went to California. Within 6 months, I lost my UK accent. completely. And then I started, at that time, started understanding Spanish because that was the second language there. And the school I went to only had like 20 Asians out of 2,000 students.
Hmm.
So I grew up without Asian people around me. So I was a total like, what's the word they called? Coconut.
Hmm.
Because our culture really wasn't there. And especially that time, there wasn't that many Asian people. I remember being told off for having mehndi on my hands,
Hmm.
and it was turning orange. And I remember being told, "Oh, why have you written all over your hands with an orange marker?" And I tried to explain it's henna, you know, like until I guess Madonna came out with it, then it became something. It was a long time ago. But yes, we moved to California when I was 10. I went to my last year of primary school, elementary. We call it elementary over there.
Yeah.
And then went to junior high school and high school.
Yeah.
So before my senior year, we moved over here.
Interesting.
My mom decided to move back to UK because she was done with America.
Okay, so Shafina, you miss Pakistan. You look radiating. I'm
Thank
sure
you.
you've, you know, my question comes down to this: is that you look very beautiful sat here today, but
Alhamdulillah. Thanks.
did you always have this look, this glamorous look that you've got? Is it because you've spoken about it being a lifestyle and your nutritional side? And I don't actually think that, anybody just wakes up and is a good looking person. I think you have to groom yourself properly, you have to exercise. I'm sure if you completely let your nutrition go for about a year or two and
I would look very different.
you would look very different.
And I've said this to many people because I'm actually quite a healthy eater.
Yeah.
Trust me, I can out-eat anybody.
Yeah.
And I was born that way. My mom always told me, she goes, you're always hungry and I would always eat. So if
Yeah.
I didn't have this lifestyle, so before this beauty pageant thing, I'll go into sort of my background. But I actually started, I was a very shy child. So when I was in California, my nanny said to me, it was because of her, I think, that I'm sat here right now. She said, you need to start drama class as an elective in school because you're so shy. Even I said no to her. She goes, you need to, you must, you need to know how to speak.
How old were you? Approximately?
11 or 12.
Okay.
So I said, okay, fine, I'll do it. Reluctantly joined drama class, but then I enjoyed it. I started doing theater, Shakespeare, learning all these things in school. That there was a girl there who's still on my social media actually now. And she said, look, there's an acting school that you can apply for outside of my normal school. So I went and auditioned and I got into that school where I trained and learned how to do catwalk and modeling and acting. And I was 12 years old when I did my first fashion show in California.
Yeah.
So I started this kind of stuff a long time ago and in California. So when I came back to UK, I mean, at that time, I think I was very young. So nutrition wasn't like the main focus. I would just eat a lot, but I was training a lot. I was doing all the sports. I was in badminton, volleyball, cross country, track.
Wow.
I was very athletic.
Active.
So yeah, all the time. So that was my sporty sort of background. I also danced as well. So when I came into UK, I fell into this whole dance group thing where we toured around UK, did music videos, stage shows. So fitness was always kind of there. And actually, initially, I wasn't meant to be going into modeling acting as such. I was meant to become a doctor, in particular a surgeon. I was very fascinated by surgery and things, When it came to dissecting animals, I think I've done a frog, a pig, a cat, a rat. I don't know if I'm missing anything else, but I enjoyed all that stuff. However, when it came to study, like university time, I changed my mind and didn't want to go into the doctor role because I was doing a lot of sort of modeling and acting and dancing work. And I thought, I can't have a life if I become a doctor. So I did my degree in nutrition because that was the next best thing. And I thought, whether I use this degree or not,
It will benefit you.
yeah.
Okay. Let's stay on the topic of your youth. Curious question I got for you. How old were you when you first started getting attention from guys, if you don't mind me asking? What? Because I imagine now you must get your inboxes, like people,
I
it
don't
happens,
look at
right?
them.
Yeah. How old were you when that first started?
That's such a funny question.
I'm going somewhere with this.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. I don't know. I feel like I think it's always been like that.
Interesting.
I think.
For a very long time, as far back as you can.
Yeah, I mean, it was always like that. I think I went through a little geeky phase
Yeah.
at one point, but everyone does that, right? But
Yeah.
they've always complimented me, like in alhamdulillah, in a nice way. Like everyone's like, oh, you look nice. So family would say stuff and things.
I'm curious now.
Yep.
Okay, so obviously I'm asking this with
Ji.
the stature that you're at. You Miss Pakistan. Okay, you are near that, you know, what we consider the epitome of beauty there. But you've always received validation from men, from guys, boys from a young age. Does that sort of desensitize you to compliments? And what impact do you feel it's had on you over so many years?
So I'm going to tell you this. I never really believed any of it. And I wasn't very good at accepting it. Like if people would say stuff, even right now, I just think, what are people looking at? What are you talking about? If people will say stuff to me, if I'm like, I was in London at Buckingham Palace on Thursday,
Yeah.
and I was just walking, and two ladies walked by, and they said the really lovely, nice compliment to me, and I was like, oh, thank you. And it doesn't desensitize you; it just feels a bit weird still. And I just think there are beautiful women out there. I don't feel like I'm something amazing. I don't, even now. Like I appreciate being here, appreciate the title, and I appreciate everything else. But everything is from Allah, and anything can be taken at any point. So I feel like I've always kept it like pretty chilled. I don't see the way people always see it, and I don't know if it has something that was said to me once by my dance teacher. And he said to me one time, I think he saw it back then. He goes, "You're gonna go far in life within this kind of world," but he goes, "Just always keep your feet on the ground, stay humble, and stay grounded."
Do you feel that you had any insecurities growing up?
For sure. For sure. I thought I wasn't good enough. For the longest time, I couldn't speak any Asian language. I was made fun of a lot. Oh, you're brown, or you're Pakistani, or, you know, how can you be? You don't even speak the language. So that happened a lot. I was bullied for that. And it was difficult. Like my father passed away when I was younger. So we were just brought up with my mom
Sorry
and my
to hear
nanny.
that, yeah.
It's okay. And so it's been, yeah, it's been a journey. Yeah.
And what's your relationship been like with men? Not just, I'm talking about platonic relationships as well. What's your relationship been like with men in your life?
Like, I think I went through a phase of I believed everyone on face value. And I still sort of do. And I think that's because I'm that way. Like, I am who I am. This is who I am. This is what I'm saying I am. I'm not making up any kind of other thing. So
Yeah.
I have always just taken people for what they say they are. And I feel like this has been probably a fault of mine. But having learned the hard way, now I'm like, okay, I'm just going to watch people's actions and rather what they're saying, because everyone can say anything. And it's good to see people's actions over what they actually say.
So, question, are you married?
No.
You're not married. Okay, interesting. Have you got any plans of getting married? Do you want to have children? Do you want to settle down? What's your...
I don't like the word settle down.
Okay.
Okay. That's...
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. I feel like settle down to me has such a... it's people taking such a negative way, or maybe it's our culture or something. People assume that, oh, once you get married, obviously you're going to stop all of this. And I'm like, why would I stop what I'm doing? This is my mindset. You know, and so for me, I'm like, the settle down thing just freaks me out when someone says, oh, you're going to settle down and have kids and that's it, khatam, you know? I'm like, no, that's not how it works. You know, it's part of your life. You make a few adjustments, but doesn't mean you just give up everything that you've been doing. I wouldn't expect the other person to do that completely. But the answer is yes. I've always wanted to have children. Inshallah, one day if it's meant to be, it'll be. But I also want to have children with the right person. So I don't want to just have children for the sake of it. I've got to make sure, like, I feel safe and secure, comfortable with the person. We have the same sort of mindset and understanding and, you know, lifestyle.
It's very interesting, this is, because you're not married and you're on this career journey, and you're... Normally when I hear these sorts of conversations taking place, it's with men speaking and women speaking who are often in the age category of about 20 to 25. And the argument goes, and I don't agree with this, that your beauty's going to fade as you get into your late 20s and 30s. The beauty's going to fade, and then your value's going to go down. And, you know, speaking to Naseem earlier, one of the main criterias for men is beauty, which it is. It's just a standard thing that's there. And what's very interesting about this is you're not in that age category of 20 to 25, as you've, you know, insinuated earlier, but you still look very radiating. How long do you plan on waiting? And do you think that your main, without being, I don't want to be offensive, but without, your beauty is your main asset as a woman. It is your main asset as a woman. Your beauty is the number one thing which guys want. How long do you plan on waiting? And do you think that, you'll lose your beauty as the age goes on, and you'll struggle to find a match in that sense? Do you ever think about that?
If somebody wanted to be with me just solely on the way I look, I don't think I'd give them time of day, to be honest. I feel like beauty's in the mind. So if someone's going to connect with me, it's a very mental thing, if anything. So I think that should overpower anything else. And I'm not going to lie, there are plenty of people there that want, they're they're always saying, will you marry me and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But however, I know there's certain things that I need to work on within myself. There's certain goals and things I have to do, and I know I can't give that time to anyone right now. And having this title Miss Pakistan for a year, there are responsibilities that I have to do. There are pageants I'll be competing in. There are projects. I'm also working on some film projects. I'm also working on a play. There's a lot of things. So right now, getting married would be out of the question. But however, as we both know, Naseem, who is guiding me, actually, there's a certain time that you need to get to know someone, I feel. And this is something that I didn't work on before. So this time it's like, okay, I need to make sure that I know someone almost like a friend level.
Yeah.
And know them for a good year. There's a whole thing about 4 seasons. So at the moment, I'm literally focusing on my work. There are people that I've come across. I'm making friends. And I'm seeing how things go as I have friends around me.
Yeah.
I haven't got time for new relationships and things. And that's not the sort of way I want to do things. I want to do things like I don't know if I want to say the proper way, because everyone's got a different way and I'm not here to judge anybody. But I feel like moving forward, I have a responsibility and as a role model to try and do things a bit more, I want to say in a better way, if that makes sense.
Okay, so if I ask you any questions which are too personal, just stop me. It's
Sure, like the age one, I was like,
Yeah,
I'm
like
not
the age
answering
one.
it.
No, that's
No
perfectly
problem.
fine.
I will
Just-
speak my mind.
That's perfectly fine. Just stop me if I'm asking any questions which you
Okay.
feel are too intrusive.
Yep.
What are you looking for in a guy? What is it that? Okay? First, let's break that down. Okay. Would you get with a guy who was less career ambitious than yourself?
Less career ambitious, as in they don't want to do anything with their life?
Not anything, but you're obviously a very career orientated, highly driven person. I can see that. You're very articulated. You're intelligent. You're a go-getter. I imagine most guys. No, I don't imagine. I know most guys are actually not as driven and as intelligent as you are. So, do you need somebody more driven than you are, or the equivalent, or would you be okay with somebody who's a little bit more not as driven?
Can I start with what I actually would look for
Sure,
in
you can.
someone?
Of course you
Okay.
can.
So Naseem mentioned about needs and wants. Okay. So I have 3. Let's see if I don't freak out and forget what they are.
Okay.
But one of them is emotional intelligence.
Okay.
This is a huge thing. The other one is non-judgmental.
Mm-hmm.
This is a really big thing actually for me. And the final one is a growth mindset.
Interesting.
These are the priorities. These are like the non-negotiables. If the person thinks that they know it all and doesn't want to read a book in their life, don't even talk to me in the nicest way possible. Hopefully no one will take offense to that, because not everyone's for everyone. The emotional intelligence on how to deal with things. Life can get tough, but if you're going to flip out and be angry and not be able to handle things in a rational manner, then that's not very good, I feel. And non-judgmental, I mean with that is I get judged a lot. And I feel like it's not our job to judge anybody. Even if you want to argue from an Islamic perspective. Like, it's so easy to do, but it's also easy not to do.
Okay, I'm going to come back to the non-judgment, because there's an area I actually wanted to cover in a little while.
Okay.
But let's talk about these things you've mentioned. So emotional intelligence, not being judgmental, and carrying a growth mindset.
Mm-hmm.
You're not asking for a lot there. But I imagine if a person was 20 stone overweight and he carried these 3 qualities, you wouldn't want to be with that person. So there are other criterias, right, that you have.
I suppose, yeah, there are. These are the sort of non-negotiables. But within growth mindset, you'd want to better yourself.
That's true.
So the growth mindset covers a lot of areas in terms of how can I become better, lifestyle-wise, as a person. How do I speak? How can I okay, that wasn't the best way. How can I work on that?
You know what's really interesting? I just remembered something
Sure.
that I read. I'll be doing this podcast and I actually forgot about this. So you've just reminded me of something which is very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Studies proved that women actually don't require a person to have certain finances. What they're actually after is ambition. So they had a study which took place. I'm not going to go in the depth of the study because I can't fully remember it. But basically what the study's outcome was and what it found is that if a person has ambition, drive, and is striving towards something, women will accept that, but they will not accept somebody who doesn't have the ambition, growth, and drive. Now, obviously, there is a component of if a person is hyper successful and has a substantial amount of money, but that's a very small percentage in the world. Yeah, but it actually showed that women psychologically go for men who are go-getters and ambitious, and I think that kind of falls within your growth mindset that women want.
So I hear where you're coming from, but given the category of the Ms. Pakistan, Ms., not the Miss, as we go into the whole age thing, by this time the person better be where they are instead of, because that growth, the way you're saying it, is like going for potential.
Interesting. Okay, right. Okay, so now we're in a...
I'm not about the potential.
Okay, very good. Okay, no, that's perfectly fine. Absolutely, you were entitled to that. I'm 100%, I'm with you. You're right. You're...
If it was like 10 years ago, different story. Maybe I would take that into consideration.
Okay.
But now it's a different story.
Okay, so interesting. So finance is an important factor. They have to be financially stable.
Yeah.
Okay. And elaborate a little bit on that first. The finances. How rich does a person need to be? How wealthy does a person need to be?
So, I mean, I've met a lot of different people in life, friends and people I'm getting to know and observe them. There are some people that would have understood that, you know what, one day I'm going to have a wife and I want to look after her. So they would have prepared. And so by now they'd be in a place where they've set themselves up. They've got a home or, you know. So the person would need to be like able to look after a wife, a family and children.
Would you be okay with marrying a guy in his 40s or 50s? Just curious. I'll come on to why again.
Yeah, that's a bit far from me, personally. I think there's going to be differences and understandings that won't probably match.
Why would you not get with somebody who's in their 40s and 50s just around the understanding? But if they've got a growth mindset, they're in shape, they're rich, they've got all your criteria, what you've set out, is it an appearance thing?
I'm not sure how to answer that question. I feel so for me, I'm, like I've mentioned, I go get, I look after my lifestyle and everything like that. I have a lot of energy and things like that. I'm not sure how men are in those ages. And I mean, 50s is definitely a no-no, because then I'm like, technically you're close to my mom's age going up that way. So for me, I'm just like, yeah, no. So I haven't actually put an age, in all honesty. I haven't got an age in mind. So that's why when you've asked me that question, it's thrown me off a little bit. But I think
would you consider it? Would you consider it? Somebody in their 40s, say? Maybe 50s is a bit far-fetched, but somebody say mid-40s, in shape. He's taken some, he's well-conditioned, he's got his finances in check. He's considered by today's society standards a high-value sort of guy. Would you be okay with that?
I haven't thought about it. I'd have to know the person and also do my istikhara on it.
So you're open to it then? Because you haven't just categorically
I haven't said no,
no.
but maybe can we
I'm
just
not
cut
in
it
my
off
40s,
at
so.
can we cut it off at 40? Just at 40.
Okay,
just cut it off there.
No, that's perfect.
Because otherwise it's
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the men and women getting married with quite large age gaps? Or do you think they should be more of a similar age?
So funny thing is, we were just talking about this today, and I have some friends that have 10-year age gaps.
Okay.
They're quite happy. So if they're happy, then that's fine. If they've got understanding, that's fine. My mom, my dad had I think about 10-year age gap.
Same with my mum and dad.
Yeah, so I think if it works out, it works out. I mean, I look at Priyanka Chopra and Nick Jonas. I'm just saying, there's like a 10-year age gap or whatever it is. So I feel if it works, it works. I specifically don't have the specific age, but I guess I have a cutoff now that we've established here. But yeah, I feel like if people are happy with their age gap, that's fine. And also going back in terms of the Prophet, peace be upon him, that time, we've had plenty of examples there. And this is the other thing as well. I was thinking whether I get married or not, I'm not sure what's going to happen, but there were people on their own back then. I feel like a lot of examples were set for us. So if it's meant to be, something will happen. I'll feel right about it. And definitely moving forward, always sort of do your prayers with everything to make sure you're doing the right move. Because I feel like we go into things and we haven't done our prayers and our life gets messed up. I feel like there's a really great plan for us. And I feel like we get in the way of our own great plan that is already
Wow.
there.
Yeah. Never heard. That's interesting, but yeah.
Yeah,
We get in the way of ourselves a lot.
we do. And we feel that something's not right, but we still go fight for it. And that's where I feel like we're going wrong. It's different if you're achieving a goal, you know, like you're studying for your exams or something, you know, it's going to be a bit of a struggle, but it's going to be worth it. The reward's going to be fine. But sometimes you get that thing where you're going out of your way, like ridiculously, to make something work, which doesn't actually, that we haven't actually sort of wondered if this is the right thing for us.
Do you think people don't let go when they need to? And I want to rephrase that question. Have you struggled to let go of people in your life, generically speaking? It doesn't have to be partner necessarily, but have you struggled to let people go in the past, and have you learned from that?
This is my trait. I don't struggle to let people go. I let them go. I'm like, once I'm done with something, I'm done. I don't know if it's a toxic trait now, but no, I don't struggle to let go. I let it go, and I try and move myself quickly onto whatever I need to focus on. Whether it's friendships, like there's a lot of friendships that I've had, great friendships, but something's happened where a line has been crossed or someone has just done something, and I just kind of just cut it off right there and then.
Do you have many long-term friends and people that you have known for a very long time?
I do. I have some friends I've known for a long time. Some friends I've known for only a few years, and we've become really, really close. And there are some friends that I had known for a number of years. Unfortunately, that time ended. And alhamdulillah for that time. I'll always appreciate those memories, but we've gone on different paths.
Have people hurt you, damaged you in your past?
Sure, but it's fine. Alhamdulillah for everything.
Do you feel like you've carried that forward, and obviously you've clearly learned lessons from it, but how has it impacted you now?
So definitely the lessons are there, and I'm grateful for those lessons. I feel like everything that all these things that have happened have been a blessing, because I kind of like who I'm becoming right now and who I am today. And I wouldn't have been able to do or be who I am right now without those experiences. And I probably brought some of those things along amongst myself. I'm not going to say it's, that person or whoever. A lot of these things we attract to ourselves. And this is the mission that I'm on at the moment. I'm a bit of a healing journey, finding myself journey. And also I believe, this might sound a bit crazy to some people, but I believe in the law of attraction. And you need to become the person that you want to attract into your life. Become that person first. Because if you're going to attract that person, they're going to be attracted to the person back. Does that make sense?
I understand what you're saying. I understand the law of attraction. I don't believe in it in terms of an external component or any spiritual component, but I believe that it's very important that, like I said in the beginning, that you need to have that positive mindset and you will attract what you are.
Yeah. And I feel like where I was before, I was probably not attracting the best situations. But now moving forward, I mean, if I look at my circle of my friends now, it's amazing. But I've made some changes. In order for things to change, you've got to change. And that's what I believe. Jim Rohn says that, by the way. It's one of my favorite mentors.
Do you feel like there's been situations in your life which have happened where you're now a hyper-driven person, and do you feel sometimes that you're perhaps compensating for anything in your life?
For sure. That's a straight up, I'll answer that. Yeah, I feel like there was a lot of time wasted, like in maybe the wrong friend circles and things like that. And my life wasn't very straightforward. Like my parents split when I was younger, then I lost my father. So there was a lot of things. My mom fell into depression when my father passed away. So then we were brought up by my nanny for a bit. We moved around many cities, many places. And so with all of that chaos and everything, I feel like right now is my time to strive to make my mom really proud. Like she's so proud, mashallah. And it makes me emotional thinking about it because that's what I want. I just want her to be proud that, you know what, her daughter's done this, and she is right now. And obviously my father's not here anymore, but I hope to make him proud too.
I was speaking to somebody recently on a podcast,
Mm.
and he was talking about hyper successful people having some sort of severe trauma damage in their life from their past. Are you okay?
Yeah, I just get a bit emotional.
Do you need a
That's
second?
fine. I'm okay.
You sure?
I think so. Just make sure my eyeliner is not messing up,
No,
right?
you'll be fine. It's okay.
Okay.
So he was talking about how hyper successful people,
Mm.
he was talking about David Goggins, I'm sure you've heard of him,
Mm.
that he had some severe trauma, not necessarily related to a partner, but to do with his, I believe it was his father.
Mm.
And it was that damage that he carried from a young age that led him on to become a hyper successful person. But I do also feel that people run away from their problems through hard work. And I read a book called The Mountain Is You. It's a very interesting book.
Okay.
And it opened my eyes to a very new component, which I didn't really think about. That are you actually chasing a goal, a worldly goal, because you want to achieve, or are you just covering up and trying to escape previous damages and previous trauma that's taken place in your life? And I have noticed a common trait with most of the successful people is that they had something which took place in their life, whether it was a woman, whether it was things from their childhood with their parents, and obviously you've spoken about your father,
Mm-hmm.
losing him, that leads them onto a path of being hyper driven, but they struggle to stay still. They struggle to just be able to be still, which is very difficult. Monks stay still. They can sit with their thoughts for a very long time. People who are hyper successful struggle with that. Do you find that?
Okay, so the few things there. The drive, I found out now because my father was an actor actually. He was an actor, director, and producer. There are people that I come across that knew him through my work, which is amazing. They tell me that I remind them of my father. My father was very driven and very successful for his time. He was very well known as well. So I feel like the drive naturally comes from him, and also my mom. My mom wants to start. What does she want to do? She wants to start a blog at her age.
Wow.
So my mom, and she writes. She can write scripts. So my mom is very much like, she's kind of my inspiration in some ways, where she just wants to do this and do that and everything. So I feel like it's in my blood to be this way. However, maybe not all my siblings are this way, but it's definitely hit me. And perhaps, yes, from certain things that didn't get done before, I'm like, okay, I'm making up for that time now, because I know there will be changes if I do decide to actually, if Allah wills it, that I meet someone that, okay, I'm like, I want to start with this, and to have a future with this person. I know that I will probably make some adjustments. So I'm trying to do everything now, so that way when I get there, if I get there, I can say, okay, I did all these things that I wanted to do beforehand. So the other part of that was, remind me again.
I can't remember, to be honest. It was
It
about,
was really
I think
good.
we were talking about the hyper driven person that you are. Do you feel that you struggle to sit still?
Oh, still, yes.
Yeah, being
Okay.
still.
So actually, I picked up some meditation. I'll be honest with you, I haven't done my meditation recently, but I did initially when I did 5 minutes. No, I did 15 minutes and it felt like 2 minutes. That's how crazy my mind was. So I sat still for 15 minutes and it felt like 2 minutes went by. Put the timer on, closed my eyes and sat there. But my goal, I understand about sitting still. And Naseem actually was helping me with this, about sitting with my thoughts. And sometimes, like, I drive a lot. I think I've done about 10,000 miles last 4 months.
Same, I drive too much.
Right? It's crazy. So in that time, I use my car time. It's like a university on wheels, right? You listen to your podcast, you listen to motivational videos, you listen to music. But sometimes I'll just not listen to anything.
Oh my God, Shafina, I did this the other day for the first time. It's crazy that you're saying this to me.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, yeah, I'll listen to Quran as well. I have this really good recitation on YouTube that just sounds amazing. So I'll keep doing that. But sometimes I listen to nothing and I just drive. I can be there for 2 hours driving with nothing.
What goes through your head when you're driving? What do you try to just blank out?
I try and listen to myself and hear what's going on, because you are what you think you are. And I realize when my thoughts go into something that I shouldn't be thinking about, or something negative. And what I've been doing recently is saying, oh, I'm doing that again. Nope, come back. So I'm being aware of where my thoughts are going and I'm bringing myself back. And that's something that I'm working on, because in order for things to change, I've got to change, and thoughts become things, and all these things I've sort of learned, it's about implementing them into my lifestyle. And this is sort of this new chapter. I kind of did a reel recently. If you don't like where you are, change. If you don't like the relationship you're in, change. Like you can be anything that you want to be, but it starts with you. So I feel like I couldn't sit still before, but I can now. Even though when people see me, they think she's go, 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 but I will take time to sit still.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You mentioned that one of the traits you want in a partner is emotional intelligence. Do you feel that the reason you require that is because some of the pain that you've gone through in your life?
For sure. I feel like I've seen and witnessed certain things, and I would require someone that doesn't act in certain manners or in a certain way and can handle situations in a much better way. They say life is 10% what happens and 90% how you react to it. And it's that reaction of certain scenarios and situations that I feel is important. And obviously having the understanding of how women are and vice versa. Like I need to be emotionally intelligent for that person as well. I feel like I need to be non-judgmental for the person as well. And of course, both have a growth mindset and be willing to understand and learn and think, okay, because nobody's perfect. I'm not looking for someone perfect. People might think, oh, what she's looking for doesn't even exist. I believe if I exist, then the other person must exist too. Does that make sense? I'm nothing special like that. There's only one person like me. There's got to be someone like that with that kind of mindset and understanding as well.
I want to ask, if you don't mind.
Sure.
You seemed earlier to get very emotional about it, so I just put it off until a bit of a later point in the podcast. Your father.
Mm-hmm.
What was your relationship like with your dad, and what was he like?
So I was his. Oh man, this.
Do you want to avoid the topic?
No, it's fine. I can it's good to talk. I think podcasts, they're real, right?
Yeah.
So and it's about being real. I feel like I don't want to
be real TV. So
there we go. I'm in the right place, right? So my father. I mean, I was very young. I remember, the last time I saw him when he was lying down. My parents split when I was like 4, 5 years old.
Okay.
So I was very young.
Did you have but you maintained a relationship with your father?
I did. But I was old enough to know that the relationship between my mom and him wasn't healthy.
Okay.
So I would have seen things that are not good. So I think they are triggers for me now, that if someone acts in a certain way, I can't tolerate it. So but back to the relationship with my father, I was his princess, I was his favorite child. I know if my siblings are listening to this, you guys know it too. Out of us kids, he wouldn't have let anyone hurt me or one thing bad for me. I think I had the best first birthday from what I've seen on the videos, and he would make a big deal about his daughters, So our relationship was good. And I remember one time we were in California, he came to visit us because mom had taken us there. So he came to visit, and he took us to Toys R Us, and he wanted to buy me this kind of laptop kind of computer thing, and I wanted these moon shoes, like this most ridiculous thing. And
what are moon shoes?
There were these plastic shoes with rubber bands, and when you you strap your foot into them, and when you walk, you're kind of like this, like as if you're walking on the moon. And
Okay.
I don't know, I think I was obsessed with the moon and the constellations and the universe and stuff. So
Yeah.
I was like, I want moon shoes. And he wanted to get me this computer thing. And but I was like, Papa, please. And he just looked at me and just bought me the moon shoes, which didn't help me with my education or anything. But he was like that. He didn't want to see me upset for anything. So our relationship was good. And I suppose he made me feel safe, even though, like I mentioned, like the relationship wasn't great with mom and dad, but with us, we were his everything. So I think that probably plays a role in the future in terms of making me feel safe and secure, with if I have someone in my life. But their emotional intelligence would need to be better. That's one thing. Because I don't think that was his strong point, to be honest.
Do you want a man like your father?
Not how he was as a husband. No. I don't think my father was.
But that wasn't my question, right? My question was, do you want a man like your father, as in what your perception of your father was, your relationship with your father? Do you want that in a partner as well?
I don't know if I knew him well enough to know what he was like. Does that make sense?
Mm.
I just know that Papa loved me, and that was it. But I think the person I would be with, like I mentioned, would be someone that we have a similar sort of mindset, the growth, and another thing as well. I'm on a spiritual journey. Not everyone needs to know this, but it's here now on the podcast, and it's quite deep. If I go into it, not everyone will understand it, and it's not for everyone to understand. So someone that would want to grow emotionally and spiritually as well. That's important. Not just like you're saying, like, I'm focusing on the goals here. There are other goals as well to focus on. And I feel like, I guess if someone's God-fearing enough, if that makes sense. I don't know. That's a whole different journey altogether.
I think it's very important. I think that when I was reading about what makes a partner somebody you should go for, one of the main components was somebody who has some level of morality and spirituality. That it's proven that people with morality and spirituality will make better partners, and I think it's very important that you have that. I think that people are looking for things which are not as critical. I think that's absolutely one of the most fundamental components to having a successful marriage and a successful long-term relationship which lasts you until you're dead. And then what happens to you after you die, And I think that's absolutely critical because it impacts you.
It does. And I feel like one of the things that just popped into my head that I saw on Instagram was the most important thing I feel you need to have with your partner is peace. If you don't find peace within each other, why would you put yourself in that?
I think that you need to first find peace within yourself.
Well,
and
yeah.
I think that a partner can't give you that.
Yeah, no, but I mean is you're not going to go into something without having peace there. So like, say for example, if I'm peace within myself, where my life is that right now, there's a lot of and I think that's why I'm staying on my own, because I'm like, I'm good. I don't want anyone to mess this up for me. But I've seen other people go into situations and it's not very peaceful. There's a lot of craziness and stuff in there. So I feel like if I sense there won't be peace there, then I won't entertain it.
I've heard that we want more than anything to mimic our childhood, and that doesn't necessarily mean that it's a conscious thing. There's some things that we do. For example, when you eat chocolate or you don't go to the gym, these are cons in our life, things that we shouldn't do. We often harm ourselves. We do things that we shouldn't do. And sometimes we want familiarity more than what's good for us. And it's a subconscious thing that takes place. And I have heard that we try to mimic our childhood. Do you feel a bit scared with what you witnessed with your mum and your dad growing up? And do you feel that you are carrying some of them fears into your adulthood and expectations for the future?
I just know that if I see that kind of behavior, I won't tolerate it and I'll walk. So I'm not afraid. I just know I feel like you need to get to know someone. So if I saw whatever I saw growing up, that I won't tolerate it like in my life now. And I also feel like it sounds a bit funny, but because obviously that generation of men I think were different. But I know that, say, if my father was alive, he wouldn't allow certain lifestyles for me. And I know if I had a daughter, would I allow her to be in a certain situation? Probably not. So why would I allow myself there? And I guess that goes on to the self-love, respect journey that I'm currently on. So I feel like, yeah, I don't know if that answered the question on that one.
I think we've covered quite a bit there with yourself. I think for me, I've got somewhat of a picture, which obviously we build in our heads, right? When we speak to somebody, and it's a very short time period. It's very difficult to get to know somebody in the space of
an hour.
Yeah,
it's not that long.
But it's very interesting listening to you. Let's move on to a slightly lighter topic before we finish off.
Yep.
Well, I say it's a lighter topic, but probably not.
Let's see.
But it's not so much diving into your life, so I don't think it'll get too emotional. But being Miss Pakistan, Now, if we were sat here and I was saying, you know, Miss India, Miss America, it'd be a very different thing. But when you're talking about a country like Pakistan, which is, you know, it comes with a lot of benefits, it's a very lovely country. I'm from Pakistan originally. My parents are from Pakistan. I'm born in the UK.
Okay.
But Pakistan is a very judgmental country. It lives, the people there, sometimes they live in 1954, not 20, you know, not the current year that we're living in. They don't live in this 2023 world that we live in today. They live in a very different day and age. And Pakistan is a population of, well, a lot, I don't know what the actual population is, but it's a lot larger than the UK. And Pakistan has developed, it's moved on, it's advanced, but it's regressed as well a lot. Let's not go into politics, Imran Khan, you know, but
Let's not do that.
it's regressed as well in a lot of ways, and struggling as a country. But on the back of that, being Miss Pakistan, you must get a lot of trolls and hate. Do you?
So let's just start with your 1954 comment on Pakistan.
Okay.
Representing Pakistan, which I am very proud of. I will say this. I hear where you're coming from, and I understand. However, I feel that many Pakistanis here in the UK are still in 1954.
100% agree with you.
Okay, I've gone to Pakistan twice this year. The conversations I've had with people are just beyond amazing, mind blowing. The non-judgmental feeling I had over there was over there. I feel like I was judged more here,
I agree.
and it's interesting that you agree. Okay, and so I feel like I was much more comfortable in Pakistan. My heart is over there, to be honest, when I'm there. And even when I'm here, I feel like, God, in Pakistan, these people were so much more broad-minded. They're so much more open. They're much more intelligent. I feel the ones I've come across. Yes, given there are places, you know, the villages, and my family's from Kohat. And there are some places. It's not as how it was before, though. I feel like it's a bit more, it's changed. People are a bit more chilled. You don't get as many stares and things like that now. But I feel like UK is behind. I feel like the UK Pakistanis came from Pakistan back then, came here and stayed a certain way, if that makes sense, like in 1954. And so when it comes to sort of pageants, I feel like I've lost the question a little bit. What I will say is there are other sort of pageants out there. Yeah, Miss India, this and that and everything. But having the pageant Miss Pakistan, initially it wasn't accepted out there. It was this was actually taking place in Canada, by the way. I don't know if we covered that. Up until 2019, it only started to be in Pakistan in 2020 in Lahore, and then we've been pushing the boundaries. So I feel like with this title, it's getting bigger over there each year. Our events are getting bigger in terms of Miss Pakistan, and the trolling, I have got trolled. However, the trolling didn't come from Pakistan; it's coming from UK.
Okay.
Believe it or not.
Okay, you mentioned earlier you were surprised that I agreed with you, because I'm not someone to shy away. If I will speak my mind, and I'll tell you if I disagree with you.
Okay.
But I don't disagree with you. I understand exactly where you're coming from. I think that we have a very big problem in the United Kingdom, particularly with British Pakistanis. The reason being is, like you mentioned, they've come the parents have come over from Pakistan many years ago, and now you're looking at first, second, third generations now over in the United Kingdom, but they haven't taken on the British values, and they haven't adopted Pakistani values. They're somewhere in between and have developed their own ideology and backward thinking, which is more prominent in the United Kingdom than it is in Pakistan. I've got a young man who works with me. He lives in Dubai. I say he's a young man. He's actually 16 years old. He does helps me with my editing.
Wow.
He lives in Dubai now, and he's I'm very impressed by him. Ali, if you're watching, shout out to you. I'm very impressed by him because his mindset at 16 years old trumps the mindset of 16-year-olds here. He's working very hard. He's learning artificial intelligence. He's working about IT systems. He's working about video editing. Sometimes I shout at him. If he doesn't get stuff done on time, I get angry at him. But he takes it. He's respectful. And he's growing. And I believe that by the time he reaches his mid-20s, late 20s, early 30s, he will be a highly successful, hyper-successful individual. Inshallah. And I don't see that in the UK Pakistanis today. I think they are riff-raffing, trying to be, a modern 2023 version of, I'm not going to mention, but they try to be British Pakistani gangsters, and they've completely lost their identity of Pakistan. I think I don't know what the reason is behind that. I think there's several factors that I could talk about it.
Mm.
It's sort of gangster culture, wannabe culture. I think that we had a lot of migration from certain areas of Pakistan over here, so, not so much from the city, and I think there is a very different demographic in the UK of those people from the city and those from the more rural backgrounds in Pakistan.
Mm-hmm.
But there's pros and cons to both as well. I find people from the city. I find people from the city tend to be one way.
Mm.
People from villages, from back home in Pakistan, a different way. But there's pros and cons to both. I believe, generally speaking, I'm stereotyping, but generally speaking,
Yep.
I'm not against, either or in any sort of fashion. But I agree. I understand where you're coming from. I think that in Pakistan, they've got the likes of Imran Khan to look up to. Now, I don't know what your stance is on Imran Khan, but I don't agree with a lot of his policies. I don't like a lot of his policies. I don't agree with what he's done. But he's the only beacon of hope that there has been in Pakistan for many years. And I think having him there, but where was he educated? Was Britain. He was educated in the United Kingdom. He's gone back to Pakistan and tried to... And Qaid-e-Azam, Muhammad Ali Jinnah, as well, was educated in the United Kingdom. So I don't think there's inherently anything wrong with the UK. I think that we've just developed in the United Kingdom as Pakistanis in a very negative way, unfortunately. I don't think it's everybody, but it's the vast majority. And I think Pakistan is a very different place, and I think they've got their own problems over there in Pakistan as well.
Every country has their problems. And this is the thing that I was speaking about the other day on BBC. And I said I wanted to portray Pakistan in a sort of more positive light, in terms of people have this perception that Pakistan is backward and Pakistan is a certain way. Pakistan's, you keep hearing that. And even for me, myself, I thought that my nanny was telling me to come to Islamabad a long time ago. And I was like, oh, yeah, whatever. But when I did, that was it for me. And I feel like we need to show people that what Pakistan can be and what it is at the moment, because the representation that we have here in the UK isn't the best for the vast majority, like I mentioned, like you just did. And I feel like we need to do a better job of that. And that's kind of what I want to do, to show sort of the West that actually Pakistan is not what you think it is.
Now I'm going to disagree with you a little bit here now.
Okay.
Because you have areas of Pakistan.
Yeah.
And people, because I made a comment earlier about a lot of Pakistanis and there are pockets of Pakistanis in Pakistan which are very much that way. I know this because I'm on Twitter, I'm on social media, I know how it is. And some of the more crazy, some crazy comments that I've gotten have come from Pakistan, but equally, I've got a lot of comments from British Pakistanis and very, very, very judgmental. They have a very one-dimensional way of thinking. They're not open to other people's belief systems. They have no respect. But I agree with you. I 100% agree with you on this, that it's more so over in the UK.
It is. And I'm getting trolled, like literally.
How does that impact you?
It's horrible initially, because when I first got the title, the person was all over my socials and I didn't have much signal, and it was just everywhere. And I just thought, who is this person? And then
no thumbnail. Often a time.
Yeah, no thumbnail, some random name. They've now, the other day, 2 days ago, have made it's the same person, but a different Facebook profile. And I'm like, for goodness sake, I mean, you obviously have no life. The fact that you're looking at my social media life because you don't really know me. I think I've had comments like, oh, look at her, she's so fake. Why has she got this weird Canadian accent? And I'm like, yeah, you definitely don't know my story. You don't know where I'm from. So someone that doesn't know me. And it's just, I guess, unfortunately, it comes with part of the journey and territory. However, I feel like it's really sad if that person's a Pakistani. Like, why would you do that? Why would you do that to anybody? But it's probably a UK Pakistani. Like, this is the thing that sort of I feel like is really sad, that we're taking each other down. Like, why? Why can't we be lifting each other up? And if you want to go through an Islamic perspective, you shouldn't be doing that in the first place. You shouldn't be saying anything horrible to anyone, even if we might think it in our mind. Just read your kalma and try and forget that you thought that. But don't say it out loud. Don't put it to that person. Don't hurt anyone. So it does impact you. It knocks you down a little bit. But at the same time, how can you let one person out of, what would it be, on 8 billion people now, impact you? I try and just shake it off. I'm also a network marketer in health and nutrition, and we deal with a lot of negative stuff. So you just kind of try to ignore it, and it just comes as part of the job. And unfortunately, and in the social media world, you're going to get more of it because you're open to the public. And but it's just part of it. And it's not like as if I'm going to shut down my social media, because social media also has a positive impact, and you kind of weigh out the pros and cons. So I'm not going anywhere.
It's interesting, Shafina, because I started this channel, what was it, 8, 9 years ago, when I did Be Real TV, and I interviewed fighters, and I was always giving my opinion on fighters and giving my opinion on boxing, and I was very much out there. So I used to get many, many comments, and I got trolled, and it's normal. But I feel like, correct me if I'm wrong, with being a woman, it's a very different thing. Because it's not just yourself. I've spoken to, I was saying I did a podcast with Gia McCool, and she was explaining to me off camera some of the situations and problems that she's going through with trolling and what people are saying. But this is not across the board. I think, women are very strong people, and very strong, I think women generally are very, very strong mentally and can handle a lot. But I think
We try.
I think men tend to emotionally, a particular type of men, not all men, a particular type of man is able to deal with hate a bit more easier. I can imagine being a woman with, the comments that you get regarding, it could be regarding your appearance, it could be regarding what you're wearing, very personal hatred like must come at you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what they would say to a guy. Oh, his shorts are short. You just don't get the
Oh, we
comments.
get it as well. I get it
You
as well.
do?
Don't worry, I get a lot of
wow.
it. I get a lot of it.
We'll talk about this later.
Yeah.
So yeah, we do get comments, and it is personal. For me, I'll just say straight up, there's certain comments that like, oh, she probably slept with the producer. Comments, like I'll get stuff like that. I'm like,
I think that's a very disingenuous
just,
comment to make, though, because it's,
like, there was some project I had done or whatever, or so. I mean, those don't even affect me, because I'm like, okay. But their comments always made on about something like that, or they're just trying to ask for like what I've done in my life to deserve this, or things like that. I mean, one of the things I did say to someone was like, well, you just have to be in it to win it, right? Like, if you don't apply and you sit there on your Facebook doing nothing about anything, then you're not really going to get anywhere. But yeah, I don't know why we're giving this so much attention to them, right? Let's focus on positive stuff.
No, I don't agree. I think these comments sometimes they will tell you things that. There's a book called The 48 Laws of Power, and it says keep your enemies closer than your friends, and don't put too much trust in your friends. And the reason is your friends will not tell you. People who are being nice to you will not tell you to not hurt your feelings. It will be your trolls and your enemies which will highlight your flaws. And you should take it on board, but not take it to heart. That's what I believe.
Yeah, these trolls are just trolling for no reason. They're not telling me any, like, I have friends that will tell me straight to my face, they will like criticize me straight. I have those kind of friends now, which alhamdulillah, so that if I'm in the wrong, that Shaf, no. And they'll say out of love, and I know they're doing it out of love. And because I'm like on this journey where I want to become better, I want to fix myself, where my flaws are, how can I become better? Because obviously I want to attract something better in my life. So I better become that before I attract, garbage or something. No offense. Yeah. Anyway, so no, I have friends that do that. I don't need trolls. So trolls, just stay away, please. I don't need you.
I think you're always going to get trolls on the internet.
100%.
That's just a standard thing.
Yeah.
But
It's just people.
But what's very interesting to me is these trolls. They don't tend to have thumbnails. And they tend to hide behind a weird picture on their profiles, which is very interesting to me. But anyway.
Sometimes my pictures are being used, by the way.
Okay, tell me about this.
Oh my God. Okay.
Fake profiles? Many?
Yes. So I had someone message me on Instagram, and he's like, hi, I think I've been chatting to you on WhatsApp. And I was like, excuse me? He's like, yeah, we met on Tinder. And I was like, you what? I don't have any of these dating profiles. But he screenshotted my pictures with some other name. And he's like, basically, I had to use apparently the software that helps you recognize someone's face and find the real person. So he found me using the software and found my social media and screenshotted my Tinder profile with someone else's name with my picture. So there's someone out there that's got a Tinder profile on me, Instagram profile on me, Facebook profile on me, talking to people. They're probably scamming people, but using my face. And that happens. But anyway, I've become friends with that person. I was actually helping them with their healthy lifestyle and everything. So it worked out that way. But yeah, apparently my face is being used. My pictures are being taken. And even now, I wonder if they've got my Miss Pakistan pictures there too. Who knows?
Such are the perils of fame on the internet and social
This
media
was
world that we
before
live
all
in.
of this Pakistan stuff.
Oh
This has been
my
happening
god.
for years.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I think I've been quite active on social media. Maybe they think they can use my pictures. I don't know.
We'll report them. We'll report them. But we go on.
Yep.
And I think, yeah, you're right. We need to focus on the positivity, not let the negativity get too hard. I do think, I'm going to reiterate that. I think negativity from anybody, you should look at it, listen to it, but you should try not to let it affect you emotionally. I think that's the trick. And some things, I think a lot of criticism that you get, often if you really piece it together, it comes from somewhere. And sometimes it's just from a person who's just unhappy with their life.
It's a reflection on who they are. I feel a lot of things that are said when they're said like this, I take it, okay, that's a reflection of who they are. And it's sad, but you move on, like you said.
I also think the internet's it's amplified the world because nobody will say these things to your face,
Of
right?
course they're not saying to my face, they don't even have a proper profile picture or a real name.
You know?
Or, you know?
So I think this is the problem
Yeah.
that we have in the world is we have social media now, which has given a voice to everybody.
Mhm.
But, this has been spoken about a lot, but I feel like people don't have real life skills. They don't have the ability to be able to even string a sentence together. They are very sad in their lives. They haven't achieved anything because if they're on social media leaving negative comments like that behind a fake profile picture.
I know. Are they getting paid for it at least? No. Like,
Okay, Shafina. Let's stop this now. We're abusing people, Shafina. You're turning into one of them trolls.
it had to be done. I mean, if I started, they would cry, but I won't. I don't have time for it, to be honest.
Shafina, it's
Yep.
been a riveting podcast. It's been very interesting talking to you, diving into your story and who you are as a person. Anything you'd like to say before we close off?
Well, firstly, this was just a fraction of my life, so, don't judge me completely on it. But no, it's been lovely being here, and I just feel like if I can leave a message to anyone, just believe in yourself if you're going to go forward with anything, or should I say it up there? And just enjoy your life, do your best, and become the better version of you every day.
Shafina, thank you very much for joining Be Real TV. Inshallah, we will speak again in the future.
Inshallah. Thank you so much, Anne, for having me.